Look, thank you everyone for joining. My name is Bonnie Brady and I head up partnerships for Payoneer in the ANZ region. Today we are joined by Maddie and Christian for our third webinar of the three-part webinar series, which we are going to cover the fantastic topic of public relations. Look, before we dive in a little bit more around the three-part webinar series and how we have gone throughout the last couple of days, I just want to give you a really quick overview of Payoneer if this is your first time joining us. For those of you that don't know, we are the world's largest B2B cross-border payments platform. Ultimately, our bread and butter is to work with e-commerce merchants to assist them in their global payments by providing them foreign currency bank accounts and an array of different currencies depending on the market that they are trading in or needing to pay into. The benefit of having a cross-border bank account with Payoneer is ultimately is a whole lot cheaper and a whole lot faster if you are dealing in like-for-like currency. So saving on your FX can really add up over time. And what we like to say to merchants is it's a way to obviously free up some additional capital, which can be injected back into your business in a variety of different ways. And one of them being marketing and brand promotion, a great way to obviously help grow your business. Something I am really passionate about as a partnerships manager is working with partners that are going to aid to our customers' growth. And there's absolutely no denying that marketing and brand promotion are tools that can be leveraged for this growth, which is why I am absolutely thrilled to be joined by Maddie and Christian today to discuss the wonderful medium of PR. So Maddie and Christian, it is great to have you on board. Now, you both aren't based in Australia. Do you want to tell us exactly where in the world you are dialing in from?
Hi, everyone. Pleasure to be here. So I'm actually dialing in from New York. And
the Big Apple.
Big Apple, we're here, and I'll provide more context on why I'm here when I share more on Coleegs. But yeah, right now we're here in, I'm here in New York, but working all hours of the day. Yeah,
goodness, I hope the time difference isn't too bad for you. So thank you so much for jumping in, which I'm sure is, a late into your evening, your time in, middle of the day here in Sydney, Australia. But Christian, you are also not based here in Australia. Whereabouts in the world are you based?
That's right. I'm originally from Sydney, but have been based here in Singapore for the last 16 years now, although I'm hoping to make it back to Sydney for Christmas this year, if all goes well. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, exactly. Fingers crossed, touch wood. Well, Manny, do you want to just jump onto the next slide for us?
Oops. Oh, what's going on here? There we go.
There we go, fantastic. Lots of technical difficulties. So look, just as a quick summary of our three-part webinar series. So Payoneer pulled together some of the fantastic industry professionals who are absolute specialists in their field, whether it be in the SEO space, the affiliate marketing, and as I said today, we are discussing PR. So we've hosted 3 webinars with these industry professionals over the last 3 days. So today is our third and final webinar. But look, good news, if you didn't join the first 2 webinars with the fantastic Yotpo and Studio Hawk who discussed SEO on Monday, and we also had Commission Factory who dived into affiliate marketing, we are going to be sending out recordings of the webinar. So just keep a watchful eye on your inbox so you can look to obviously revert back to those recordings to pick up any tips or tricks as we're entering into what is absolutely undeniably the most busiest time in the e-commerce calendar. We've just had Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and we are leading towards Christmas. So I'm sure you as a business are wanting to sit down and see some ways that you can obviously drive some more traffic to your site and increase those sales, or even you might be sitting down and forecasting out that 2022 strategy plan. So it's always good to have those recordings on hand. Look, the format of today's webinar. Manny and Christian are going to be providing us some fantastic insights into what makes PR a medium that you should be looking to engage with, and they'll be diving into some fantastic stats and case studies as well. But there is going to be a section at the end for Q&A. So if you do have any questions throughout today's conversation, please don't hesitate to just drop them in the chat bar, which is at the bottom bar of your Zoom, and I'll be sure to circle back around. Look, there is absolutely no question too big or too small. It's not every day that you have the opportunity to really pick the brains of some fantastic global professionals who are specialists in their field. So look, on that note, Manny, let's just dive into the next slide. Wonderful. So Manny heads up Coleegs, which is a PR platform for global PR. Manny is the CEO and the co-founder, and their business specializes in helping businesses do international PR anywhere and at any time. Manny, can I hand this one over to you? And do you just want to give everyone a bit of an overview of your business and ultimately what separates you guys out from what Australians, I believe, probably would view a typical PR agency?
Absolutely. Thanks for the intro. So yeah, just to build on what you said there, Coleegs, what we've built is this platform for global PR, helping businesses do PR anywhere, anytime. Companies are not in one country anymore. And that's just the state of how companies grow. And especially in Australia, especially with tech companies, they need to be in multiple countries. The problem we found with PR is it didn't accelerate or grow to that pace where somebody tomorrow needs to do an announcement or get some coverage or do some PR in 10 countries. They don't want to take on 10 agencies. Hence, the problem was that they didn't. And that's what we wanted to solve. And that's why we built this platform, people solution, allowing businesses to do PR. So some of the things that make us unique, one, there's no retainers. A lot of people are happy to hear that. So what we've done is do things project-based. So clients, customers, businesses can take us on to do things ad hoc project-based. For example, I need to do something in Singapore, UK, et cetera, so ad hoc projects. Again, borderless. So that's not truly true right now as we grow, but we are in the UK, Singapore, most of Asia, Australia, and now getting our feet sealed into the States. Third, and this is a very important part, I noticed we spelled Christian's name wrong. That's my fault. Christian Barker. Our clients work with seasoned professionals. These are high-tier seasoned professionals like Christian, who's worked at the highest levels. They know PR, they know journalism, they know publicity. So it's important we have our clients engage with these individuals, whether you're in New York and you're looking to work with the journalists, do your writing in Asia or Australia. Very important. It's written locally, they have knowledge of media, and I can't speak highly enough of how much that experience comes into play. And lastly, we built solutions for our clients like media outreach. So we're slowly going to be building more and more products that businesses can access. So the first product we launched was PR media outreach, helping businesses get published in traditional media and helping them build their own media profile. So that's really what makes us stick out.
Cool, thanks so much, Manny. And I think that probably leads really well into Christian's introduction. You've just stressed, the importance of ensuring that you are working with industry professionals who have got, fantastic experience behind them, and that is Christian to a T. You've had a really successful career to date, Christian, with having written for the Financial Times, Forbes Asia, BBC, GQ, the South China Morning Post, and many, many more. Is there any other, outlets that I have missed, or some really big names as I've just rattled through, Christian?
That kind of covers most of them.
Although,
as we'll talk a little bit more about, I also, the other arm of my work is doing a lot of writing for Manny, for Coleegs, and yeah, crafting thought leadership articles, op-eds, a lot of ghostwriting. So there are many other outlets where my words have appeared, but with other people's names attached to them. So yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that later.
Cool, thank you. It's great to have you both on board and be dialing in from all different time zones. So look, I think we probably should just dive straight on into it in terms of, your PR journey, and what businesses ultimately should do. Look, we all hear the word PR and it gets, thrown around the industry. But look, I personally don't have a really good in-depth understanding of when that journey should begin. Should you be engaging with a PR professional when you are, a really well-established business, or, should it be really early on in launching your business? So Manny, I'm just going to hand this one straight off to you as our PR specialist. Can you give us a bit of an overview of ultimately when that journey should begin?
Absolutely, and the honest answer is anytime. PR is an open book. There's lots companies can do. From on one end, you got your social media, where a lot of your paid media comes in. So this is your post, engaging with customers, advertisements, etc. The positives and the negatives of this is, on the positive, you've got a massive audience, and everybody needs to do social media. Just find what's right for you and how you should utilize it and do it. This is what I call persistence. You are any business, any individual who wants to build their profile, they need to be doing this persistently. It's going to take 100 posts to catch one person's attention. Then you got your own media, and this is where it starts to become more time consuming, is your writing. Client wins, case studies, blogs, emails, things that you want to say. We did this, or here's my view on something, or I wanted to write a thought on this. Emailers, this is all your own media. Again, not too difficult to do, but time consuming. And hence now we fall into companies who and people who should be doing this on a regular basis to stick out, but it's not getting done. So this is where the time allocation and this is where companies start to look at maybe outsourcing. And then you got what I would say the difficult portion. This is the earned media. And we're going to dig more into this later, but so by earned media, what we're saying is third-party media coverage. Who else is talking about you? So getting a profile piece on your company, on an individual, a feature, press releases, announcements. These are big forms of earned media. A very underutilized but highly effective one is publishing opinion editorials. Christian will talk more about that too. Radio, TV, podcast. And so these are all the forms of earned media. Again, so if you're looking at that scope from left to right, social media, a lot of persistence, everyone does it, so you need to be on it. Everything and anything and everyone should be doing it. Own media, take some time. There is no formula here, just, good spelling. And lastly, earned media, which is the tough part. And that's difficult to do, but people should do it because journalists, and again, Christian will speak to this, they're looking for good content.
Yeah, awesome. Like, I think, you've rattled through multiple different avenues that businesses can look to drive that content out on, whether it be, the social medias, the blog posts, or even tapping into, journalists like Christian with, your own media versus your earned media. So I'm really excited to understand a little bit more around that piece too. If we just touch on content, look, obviously, it is a word that everyone is talking about. Can you just give us a bit more of an overview of obviously why it is important and, how businesses can get started with that content piece?
Absolutely. I mean, this isn't nothing new. Content is king. The problem is people don't do it. It's not done enough. So there's many forms, and I've only put a few here. Blogging, ghostwriting, opinion editorials, brand stories, client wins. Don't be afraid to celebrate client wins. This is important. If you are a consumer and you talk about a client win, guess what? There's somebody else right there who's saying, hey, maybe we should speak to them because that's somebody we want to work with. Case studies, white papers, there's multiple forms, but the data and the facts are there. 80+% of customers expect businesses to write content and publish it. 60% of consumers are influenced by it. This is getting into that trust, that credibility relating to a story. And another fact is, and again, things done on a consistent basis, 80+% of businesses see an increase in sales with earned media content. And these are facts. So there is an importance there. And I think it really comes back to two things: doing it right, taking the time out to do it, and doing it right. Those are the two things that we've come across.
Great. And what do you deem as doing it right, Manny?
I think Christian can probably add more to this. When it comes to doing it right, it's the content. How well is it written?
Yeah.
You know, when you're reading it, for example, me as a business owner, I would never write my own content. I would have somebody look at writing the content for me because they're writing it unbiased.
Yeah.
That is important. That's number one. And also the quality of it. Christian, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, well, look, I think, you know, not just as not everyone with a mobile phone is a photographer, not everyone with a keyboard in front of them is a writer. It can, number one, be very difficult. Most people find it very difficult to talk positively about themselves and not feel boastful. So that's one challenge. Number two, you know, writing one of these pieces of content, depending on how fast you work, it can take a day, it could take a week. And if you're a CEO, a COO, CTO, whatever the case may be, your time is much more valuably spent doing what you do best and outsourcing something that is not within your sort of talent base to someone who specializes in that. And yeah, so that's where someone like me comes in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're bang on the money there when you say that, you know, engaging or, you know, looking to outsource to an industry professional is definitely worthwhile. If we are just going to go down that, I guess, earned media route, you know, getting published, why is it important? And, you know, ultimately, how can businesses look to get published? Now, Manny, do you want to take this one, or should we hand off to Christian?
I think
who's best equipped to answer this one?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
You bet. So as we've already just touched on, there are various forms of earned media, which we are obviously all striving to achieve, as it's far more cost effective and also far more effective from a marketing perspective than paid advertising. So the big question there is really, how do I get published? Number one, pitching announcements to media. The really important thing there is to make sure whatever you're pitching is newsworthy. You know, this is not advertising. You're not going to media and telling them that you're going to give them an envelope of cash to write about you. So, you know, they're in the business of news. The news that you pitch them has to be newsy. It can't be simply sales. Number two, a great way of getting your voice out there is to offer to provide guest commentary on a particular area, somewhere where you have a degree of expertise, where you can provide a unique perspective. You know, journalists are always looking for authoritative voices to quote in their stories. So yeah, getting making those contacts and trying to get your opinions out there in that way, that can be a great way of getting published. A third way, share some valuable insights via an opinion editorial. For example, I've spent a lot of time over the last 18 months ghostwriting numerous op-eds for C-suite executives, discussing how matters such as motivating staff or driving digital transformation have been relevant to the current period during the COVID crisis. So that's been a great way, a very effective way of getting the name out there. Don't spray and pray. Know your audience. Pitch to the right journalists. Look, this is really not brain surgery. If you're in a particular field, you're probably already on a daily basis reading media that is devoted to whatever your profession or your field is. I would suggest pay attention to the names of the journalists that you're reading. Make note of them. Try to do some outreach. Journalists are generally very, very open to being reached out to by thought leaders in a particular area. But it's really about, you know, horses for courses, knowing your genre. If I jump back to the earliest days of my career, I actually started out my career working in the music business. And when I was promoting records to the music press, which is something that existed at that time, but doesn't really exist so much now, you know, if I had an indie rock and roll record, that's what I would take out to a journalist who was interested in rock music. If I had an electronic dance music record, that's what I would present to a journalist who was interested in electronic dance music. So, you know, the same thing applies in business. You really got to find the journalist who is, interested in what you're doing. Flows into the next point, crafting an engaging pitch. It's all about selling the story. This is, once again, relevance is the most important thing. Finding the media outlet that is going to be interested in the story you've got to tell, or crafting the angle that you're taking to media to a particular media outlet. What you won't necessarily be able to have one press release or one email or whatever, however the outreach may be, that's going to appeal to absolutely everyone. So often that has to be tailored, bespoke to the particular media outlet. And then be persistent, not annoying. It takes time. It's all about gentle persuasion. It's about relationship building. It's not about a bombardment. It's not about, blocking the door and saying, hey, you're not getting out of here until you commit to writing a story for me. That's not going to work for you. And that's actually something that happened to me at a media event last week, where they stopped me from leaving before I committed to something. That will not work. That's a big turn off. So be persistent, not annoying, gentle persuasion.
Right, and don't take the journalists as hostages by the
That's
sounds
correct.
of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it does sound like a story for another day, Christian. Well, you've definitely given us, some fantastic tips to sort of go off. If we were just to sort of dive into the media page on your website, Manny, are you able to? Oh, great, you've got one up on the screen. Able to give us a bit of an overview of this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what I'm going to do here, if everyone can see this okay, I wanted to give a couple examples of one example of a good media page, an example of a bad media page. We see this time and time again. So what I'll do is I'll show you the bad media page. And this is what I mean. All you see here is logos that are sprayed. I can't click on anything. Now, everybody has this. Everyone and anyone has this, and this can mean anything. This is an example of a bad media page, not for me, cosmetically, but if you're a journalist like Christian, who wants to write something on a credible thought leader, who are they want to see their media profile, this is bad. And what's even worse, I won't show what this company is, there's no media page, there's no about us section that highlights what this media was. So don't just spray logos, have links, have something tangible. And this is a great example of a media page, a company called Viva Systems in the pharmaceutical industry. So they've got some links on the front page, but if you go to their media page, these are things that I can click on. On top of that, they've divided the categories: press releases, press coverage, two different things. So what are the announcements that you made? What's the coverage that you got, which is features, profiles, opinion editorials? Then they've given a little overview. Now, if you're a journalist, this is heaven. If you're someone who's looking to write on a company and you're building your own media profile, this is credibility. So we see it time and time again, especially if you're startups, not more the bigger companies, but if you're a growing company, go right the way to the basics. We've done the same thing on our page. If this pops up, oh, it doesn't pop up. But we've done the same thing on our page. We've started with the basics, but start right, do it right, have clicks, have links, because the journalists, they're gonna look at that for, I don't know, Christian, how long do you spend looking at a potential, interviewee, maybe 15, 30 seconds on the website max, or?
Well, it's really important just to have that information that we as a journalist don't have to battle to find it, to have that material accessible and to make it a frictionless process. You really don't want to have to be struggling to find a media contact or go to some page on a website that has got one of those form things to fill in, as opposed to simply giving someone's name, email, contact telephone number so that you can track them down immediately. And having that about us, who we are, profiles of your executives, just make it as easy as possible for the journalists, because otherwise they'll often give up and they'll find they'll go to one of your competitors who does have that information available. So I think, frictionless, make it easy.
Yeah, fantastic. No, I think that's really good advice. And if we are wanting to make it easy, the other piece that I do know journalists often dive in and take a look at is press releases. How ultimately should a business look to structure it, and what do you both deem to be a fantastic press release that is obviously going to capture you as a journalist eye, Christian, and you, Manny, as a PR expert?
I was just being very rude and looking at my phone for the reason of looking at the number of unread emails that I have. And here on my phone, which does have about 6 email accounts, there are 89,656 unread emails, which I will clearly never achieve zero inbox. But that gives you an example of how many press releases. Obviously, that's not all press releases, but a lot of it is, and journalists receive a lot of press releases. So look, 30 seconds, you've really got to catch the attention in the first 30 seconds of looking at a press release. A top tier publication probably gets 25 to 30 newsworthy press releases a day, and many more sort of lame duck press releases that aren't even worth a moment's consideration. So, you've got to realize that there's a lot that you have to cut through. So you really have to put a lot of effort into getting it right, and getting it right from the get-go, capturing attention with the headline, top loading all of the most important information into the first couple of paragraphs, because that very well may be all that's going to be read. So very important to do that. You also have to realize that, it's a small percentage of journalists who heavily rely on press releases to get their news stories. Most of us are out there trying to generate our own stories ourselves and looking for a unique angle, looking for a scoop, looking to do something that not everyone else is doing. It's probably generally the laziest journalists, or the most pressed for time journalists, which is a lot of them these days, who are reactive and simply write stories based on a press release that they've received. So once again, you need to be capturing attention immediately. However, it's essential to have a press release, because once a journalist does want to write about you, they're very likely going to be getting in touch with you, or looking at the media section of your website, looking for a press release that lays out in very concise and very accurate detail all of the information that they need to know about your company, or about a particular topic, or about whatever it is that you're trying to promote at that particular point in time. So look, in order to achieve that cut through, number one, keep it simple. Make sure you have got that catchy headline, that you're top loading everything in the first couple of paragraphs, that you're giving those basic pieces of journalistic information: what, why, when, where, how. Keep it to one page, keep it to probably less than 500 words. If you want to know the standard sort of format for a press release, which is what people are expecting to see, there are a myriad websites if you Google that. But yes, it's primarily top loading the information is the number one most important thing. Number two, having a boilerplate at the very end of the press release that describes the individuals involved, or the company involved, in concise detail. Remember, it's like a preview to a movie. You're not showing an entire movie. You're giving a 2-minute sort of synopsis. So you want to keep people interested. You want to get them through the doors in the same way that a preview gets you intrigued and makes you want to go and see that whole 2-hour thing. So that's really the approach you've got to take. Cosmetics count, make it look good. Use infographics, use pictures, logos. Quotes from your team are fantastic. Authoritative numbers, having percentages, sales figures, etc., in there, so long as they can be proven in some way. Be newsworthy. Again, it's not advertising. You are trying to reach out to the news media, so you need to be giving them something that is news, that is number one, is new, and that readers are going to be excited to read about. So it could be a company expansion, a big fundraise, interesting insights, so the results of research that you've done, something that's related to a topic that is big in the news, i.e., COVID, which I was mentioning earlier, and all of the many cultural and societal changes happening around that. don't talk about new products or staff announcements, unless, of course, the media that you're approaching is, industry focused. Let's say you're going to a magazine that is dedicated to the advertising industry, and you've just hired a hot new creative director. Okay, that's news. If you just released an amazing new tech product and you're approaching a magazine that's all about, or a website that's all about tech products, it's relevant. So go for it. Again, I think we've already mentioned this. Don't be advertorial. It is about news. This is the news media, and you're not paying them money. And then check out the Coleegs website /our work, and you'll see some examples of work that Manny and his team, including myself, have done in recent years.
Well, I'm thrilled that you said, that press releases were essential at the start there. I was thinking, goodness, is this something that, a business even needs to dive into if a journalist has got 800 and something or other emails sitting there, and, a portion of them are press releases. But I think, you definitely covered the fact that it is something that they should be diving in and doing. And I think that was, fantastic advice to jump onto your website and have a look at press releases that are done really well.
To just give an example there, I recently was writing about a major financial institution, and I wanted a simple amount of information from them, and said, do you have a press release on this particular topic that you're promoting? And they sent me a 125-page report to read through, which did contain all of the information I needed, but took quite a while to digest. So I wasn't best pleased about that, and it would have been far kinder of them just to say, here's a one-pager that's got the data that you need that relates to this thing that we're trying to promote. So good example.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that doesn't sound a whole lot of fun to be doing all that reading. But look, one of today's theme was around that cross-border piece. Here at Payoneer, we really pride ourselves on working with businesses and ultimately enabling them, but also just being a trusted partner to assist in entering into new markets, whether e-commerce businesses are based here in Australia and they're looking to launch into the US or into Southeast Asia or UK, Europe, whatever market it is. I think we are constantly sitting down and thinking, what promotional mediums can we do to sort of drum up those customers in those regions for really get that brand exposure piece. Manny, can you dive into that cross-border PR piece and just give everyone a bit of an overview of ultimately what they should know when they are looking to engage with a professional like yourself?
Absolutely. And when building the company, this was top priority for us. To help the startups, to help the international companies. We've worked with small to large. It's to streamline communication. It's fragmented because they just can't get that information out there. And the world is connected now, even more so with COVID. It's been accelerated. So on the left, you got the options here. And again, depending on what you're doing, there's the social media side of it, having your local social media sites, local social media distribution, churn that out. You got your news distribution services like Session, PR, Newswire, Business Wire, who have been around forever. A lot of public companies, financial companies use this medium. The other avenue is your PR agencies to take on agencies. And then there's us. I'm plugging in a advertorial here for Coleegs, but the specialists. So there's mediums out there, and we felt that something needed to come into want to make it more cost effective, have it done right. It does take a little work, but it's actually it's nothing too scary. One thing people should remember if they're doing an announcement, let's say in Australia, but you've also got an operation in Singapore or Hong Kong, localize it. So what is that story that you're looking to do, and what does it mean for Singapore? The story that you're writing in Australia does not have the same effect in Singapore. So if it's an announcement, we are expanding or we are doing a product launch, answer this question: what does it mean? Else you'll find that you could be doing an IPO in Australia, but Singapore doesn't really care. Same vice versa, and same with other parts of the world. Connect with media on the ground. It is a person you're dealing with on the other side. So understand what they're looking for, have those connections made, so that you're ready to time something instantly. That goes to my third point, timing. It's instant. An announcement in Australia needs to be announced in Singapore if we're using that same example here. If you're doing an announcement in Australia, then 2 weeks later in Singapore, not news. It's not going to go anywhere. Now you need a completely new angle. So that timing is extremely important. This is probably my biggest point, and I can build on this for another hour, but trade and mid-tier media is an opportunity and avenue that is just missed. Incredible channel to get promoted, underutilized because everybody wants to be in the AFR. All the journalists that have worked at the top tier media have come from trade and mid-tier media. They're looking for great content. They will probably be the first people to write a profile piece on you. So if you're an Aussie company and you expand into, again, I'm using a Singapore example here, get into trade and mid-tier media. It's still earned media. It's still just as credible as anything else. Share it through your LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram channels, and it will have the same effect. So that's important. And I stress the localize. You want to understand what are the dynamics in your country. So in the country you're looking to get media or coverage into a PR, I'll give you an example. We had a client recently expand from Hong Kong and China into Asia Pacific, who does supply chain financing in the middle of the supply chain turmoil. So we were able to time that perfectly, the supply chain financing in the middle of the supply chain terminal, company XYZ is expanding here. And that ended up showing up on CNBC. So this is what I mean by understand what's going on locally, because that's what journalists do. They write on local topics, what's topical, what's happening now, and how does this fit into my agenda. So again, a lot to it. It's more so work, having it executed right. But if you follow this formula, whether it's in-house or utilizing one of the options on the left, you can have some success.
I was smiling away, Manny, as you're talking around that localization piece. Yesterday, we had the fantastic Gavin on from Commission Factory who talked around affiliate marketing, and his key takeaway was around that localization piece. And I thought that it was very fitting that it's something that you both mentioned today, is ensuring that you are localizing for the market that you are wanting to get that brand exposure in. Look, I think it probably expands even further than brand exposure. No matter what market you are going into, sitting down and doing that research and really understanding the market and ensuring that you are catering to each of the different market nuances is really important to do. But look, before we quickly dive into that Q&A piece, I'm going to put both of you on the spot here with a key takeaway. Is there anything that sort of jumps out or comes to mind, whether it be around the journalism side or the PR side? It can just be one point that you want to quickly call out to everyone attending today.
Christian, do you have one?
Yeah, look, I think the key word is relevance. I think that's come up in many of the topics that we've covered today. Relevance to the outlet that you're trying to reach out to, whether that is tailoring a pitch or an angle to make it relevant to them, or simply focusing your efforts where you've got the best chance. I frequently have PRs getting in touch with me about topics that I'm like, that's great, but which of the outlets that I write for did you think that I would be able to cover this new fantastic kitchen tap or whatever you're trying to promote, and it's just impossible for me to help them out, no matter how much I like the PR or have a relationship with them. So relevance, really looking to make your pitch, your angle relevant to the particular media that you're reaching out to, and that does go back to localization as well. Why is it relevant to that part of the world? Why is it relevant to that particular title or that particular journalist?
Yeah, fantastic. Manny, anything from your end that you just want to quickly add before we dive into the Q&A? And I guess as well, this is just a reminder that if you do have any questions, whether they be big or small, please feel free to put them in the chat bar below. We can put both Manny and Christian on the spot again.
Yeah, one thing common we come across clients is ROI. Their ROI in PR is indirect. There's nothing direct, unless you do paid advertising and there's metrics to support it. And guess what? Everybody does it, so you're not going to stick out. PR is indirect, and there is a formula here that actually increases sales, but you need to be persistent at it. You need to do it on a regular basis. It takes time. So when you do it right, keep learning, engage professionals, and just stick to it. And there is a formula. I've got cases of helping companies do their IPOs. We've got cases of startups within 18 months sold for $30 million just because of PR. There's plenty, but can we directly tie it to us? Of course not. But did it help? Absolutely. So persistence, do it right. I can't stress that. Trust some professionals to do it. And yeah, you will find that over time, there is an ROI.
So you've just mentioned, obviously things that you need to ensure that you are doing right, but I'm sure there are many a story out there of, some mistakes that have happened in PR. So I'm going to quickly dive in and ask that exact question. Obviously, Christian, you mentioned before that one big mistake is to not take your journalist hostage. So is there any other mistakes out there when it comes to PR that you have seen that you just want to, I guess, get across that messaging to everyone attending today of what not to do?
Yeah, well, we touched on it a little bit earlier, but there's a fine line between persistence and trying to get your message across and getting to be pestering and annoying. So yeah, that's a really important one where you will soon wear out your welcome as a PR or whatever the case may be, as a self-promoter. If you're really pushy, I've had people sending me WhatsApps at 8:30 on a Saturday night, going, "Hey, when are you going to write this story? Hey, trying to." Staying on my radar the whole time, and unfortunately that makes me want to shoot them down if they're on my radar. So yeah, there's over persistence, and which then goes into that same sort of hostage taking approach. There's the relevance thing of not wasting a journalist's time by approaching them with something that they have no interest in. There's a lack of product knowledge. So you as the PR or as the marketing person should really know your stuff. And if a journalist has got a question for you, you should know what you're talking about. I've encountered on many occasions. I mean, it's generally not someone in-house. It's generally a PR person working for a PR agency who's representing a brand, and they just don't know the basics of what they're attempting to promote. And when you ask them very, very simple questions that they should have the answers to, it's kind of, let me go back and check with our manager and see what I can find for you. Whereas the real professionals know immediately, have got an answer for you, or at least can finesse it in a certain way that I've got all of that information for you. I'm going to send that to you immediately after, and then they'll hustle and get it done. So I don't know. Those are a couple of the main mistakes or annoyances that can be encountered.
Oh, well, definitely worth taking note of those ones. But look, I'm just conscious of time. And we unfortunately have run out. So big thank you, Christian and Manny, for joining us today on our third webinar of the 3-part webinar series, where we focused on the ultimate guide to marketing and brand promotion. We have covered some fantastic topics from SEO to affiliate marketing, and today diving into PR. Like I said before, we are going to be doing a send out of the recording, so you can look to obviously dive back in there when it suits you to pick up any of those tips or tricks that you missed today when you were taking notes. But look, if anyone does have any questions or they are keen to engage with your services, best contact email. I have just seen that Christian has really kindly put Manny's email and also your email, Christian, in the chat. So feel free to jump in there and grab hold of that one. But look, if you missed that or you are interested in getting in touch with Payoneer, our email address is up on the screen now. Feel free to reach out at any point, whether it be around the topics that we have spoken around today, and we can connect you with the partners that we have worked with on this webinar series, or if you are interested in understanding a little bit more around how Payoneer as a business can assist your brand with entering into new markets, don't hesitate to touch base with us. But again, a big thank you to everyone that has joined us, and again, thank you, Manny and Christian.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Great to be here. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.